Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. We're going to be starting in just a few seconds. Great to see everyone here. I'm going to be opening up the chat in just a second. Questions, all those good things. And Joyce is here to join us as well. Um, as Joyce is coming up, it's great to see you. Um,
Hello.
as you can
How are
tell,
you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Um, right now, Flo's not here today, so it's going to be the two of us again. So
Again?
listen, we're setting expectations before we start this. So it will be good. All of those things. I'm adding the chat and everything like that, for people to be able to participate. But just letting you know, all of those things will answer as many questions as possible, and it's great to see you all. So. Just changing everything with the chat right now. Ba, 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 ba. And then we'll get started, of course. One last thing. That one. And one more with my chat. Hold on. Apologize. There we go. And there. And allow everyone. So, hey, everyone. Okay. So as always, we're going to have you can talk in the chat. For all questions, please have them in the Q&A. We're going to be talking about each one at a time. And then from there, we're going to invite you up if you'd like to answer your question and all those things. Okay. Um,
I
so,
just Doc,
mhm.
you send the chat just to host and panelist.
Oh,
So I think the chat you need to go to the three
yeah.
dots. Yeah,
Let's see.
there you go.
There we go.
But for some reason I can only like I'm not able to chat with you. Oh yeah, there we go.
Can we?
Cool.
Can you use the chat? Okay, awesome. Okay, I think we're good. All right, so we'll go one step at a time. Okay, so the first one we have, um, let's see. Now the question was from Scott mentions I have a bug that needs to be addressed. He also says I need this to be shown to Flow. Do you think that would be
Yeah.
best for sending a ticket or to have him invite up just to show
Well,
the
maybe Scott, if you can in the chat, so not in the Q&A, but in the chat, if you can just confirm that the bug ticket you're referring to is the one called error fetching data. That way I will, okay, so if it's this one, I will, if you want to show us, if you want to, yeah, sure, go ahead. You can
All
hop on
right,
and show us.
we're gonna be
I just so you know, again, low expectations. I'm not technical, so there's a very little chance that I will be able to solve the problem, but at least I will have the full context and I can escalate afterwards with the developer team.
right. All right. So we're going to be bringing Scott up. Great to see you, Scott.
Okay, and just before you start,
We got
Scott,
joined.
because
Not
I'm
sure if that was
reading yeah, no worries. Hey
okay.
Scott, good to see you.
Hey, Joyce. Yeah, it's been a while. I mean,
It's
I
been
don't
a while.
recall, like I was early on with WeWeb and
Yeah, long time ago.
yeah.
Well, first, thank you for
Yeah.
being with WeWeb for a long time. Appreciate it and for
Yeah,
your
I love
patience.
it. It's been quite a journey and growth. It's been awesome.
All right,
Um,
cool. So I'm looking at your ticket, and it's an error that we've been seeing more and more in the
okay. So you're aware of it.
if I'm not, yeah, but the issue is coming from Xano. So
Oh,
it's
right. So when I worked for a different company about a year and a half ago, this issue came up and I brought it to WeWeb's attention. They pushed back
yeah.
saying Xano. I went to Prakash.
I
And
know
Prakash was
we're discussing with Xano at the moment. I can share with you.
Sure.
Um,
Prakash was like, no, it's not. It's gateway. And then he came back and said, wait, it might be. It's a gateway error. And I also got Ray Deck involved in this whole process.
okay.
And then it kind of went away. So,
Okay.
and now I'm building a different
Well,
platform and now it's back and it's
so let me
significant.
give you two potential solutions, like the two solutions that seem to be like the two things we found. Is number one, this can happen if you're fetching too many Xano collections at the same time. It maxes out the Xano memory. And so instead of like one solution can be that instead of fetching the collections in parallel, to fetch them in sequentially. So
Only,
that's like
yeah, I'm only fetching this collection by itself.
okay. And
There's a
then
lot, it's
the
about 1,700, 1,300 records. It's not ginormous, but it's not like,
yeah, yeah. And
and
the
it's like
second thing
every
we
fourth
found,
click. It's like there are 3 clicks, give me the error, like by the fourth click, it then fetches.
hmm, and then the second thing we found as well, but I don't think that's the case. It doesn't sound like your case. It's if you have a Xano account where you max out your database storage, the endpoints will stop working or work intermittently.
So
So
that's what originally, when we solved this problem, I had too many, it seemed I had too many endpoints in one folder and I had to move some off to different
okay,
folders. I think that's what I did with Ray, and that's what worked.
okay,
Although Prakash came back to me and said, I mean, I have a folder with 300 endpoints and it's working fine. So, I think that's at the time what solved the issue.
yeah.
The folder I have in Xano has 88 endpoints. It's not a lot. So
And have you been in touch with Xano support for this particular issue?
no, I should do that. I should get in touch with them, right? Because
If you
if
could,
you
that
if
would
you
be awesome
502
because
gateway error, and so the request isn't even making it to Xano. So that's why I
yeah,
first thought, it's a WeWeb thing. So I guess the
yeah,
bottom
and
is we have to figure it out because it's where it's coming from and how to resolve it because
yeah.
it's significant.
So far, this has happened to us many times, like dozens of times, and the it seems like when you have a 502 and you don't see the call in Xano or whatever, it seems like it's Xano's issue. From so far from like the few dozens of use cases we've seen, we haven't yet found a case where it was coming from us. So if you could reach out to them as well, that would be great. I know that our support team right now has like instructions that when it's network error from Xano, where you can't find you don't see the call in Xano, that it is a Xano issue, so they're not prioritizing. I will escalate with the tech team anyway, just to let them know that we've spoken. Um, and yeah, if you can check with the Xano team and feel free
I
to
just
send
sent
me.
them I just sent
Okay,
them the Loom video that I have and letting them know that
awesome.
I spoke to
Oh,
WeWeb.
I didn't see the main
Yeah, I
video
added it recently. That's why
ticket.
I wanted to show you.
Okay.
I just show you just to kind of confirm that this is what you're seeing. I mean, this network error happens all the time.
So I'm not seeing this video. Can you?
Oh, I'm showing on my screen right now.
Oh no, sorry. Yeah.
Collection there. Didn't happen now.
Yeah.
There it is again.
Yeah, yeah. So that's really like I think it's coming from Xano. I really do. If you want to add the Loom video to your WeWeb ticket,
I did. Error message so I
but
can
I can't
show it
I
to you
can't
guys. But this
I
is
can
what
find it.
happens.
So if you can send me the DM a DM in the community, and I will add it to your ticket manually just to make sure that our team has the
All
information
right,
so
can I
that
send it in this chat real quick?
sure, yeah, if that's easier.
Come on, either. Okay, that is my
Cool.
uh major question. I have a smaller question, but I don't want to.
Nope. Yeah, we'll do it later if that's okay.
Okay.
If we
Okay,
still have
sure.
time just to make sure everybody gets a chance. I'm just copy
Okay.
pasting your Loom
And it's messed up. It's
and
causing such an issue with my platform because it That's
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
People
losing.
can't query stuff.
How do I get out of here? Or besides,
We will kick you out,
and-
don't worry.
No way.
Never care.
We're gonna be doing this. I'm gonna be moving you back to
Talk to you later.
okay,
attendees.
so this somebody in the chat said they had issues similar using
Sorry,
draft.
response.
So different
Yeah.
front end, same back end.
Yeah, I'm like 90% sure
response.
it's a known Xano issue. So yeah.
Good times. Good times.
And
Okay.
hey Davey,
Awesome.
good to see you in here.
It was great to see you. Okay. So next up we have Luke. Luke has a couple different questions, but based on time, we'll see.
Mhm.
But I'm going to be inviting Luke up right now, if that's okay. I'll be promoting to panelist. And I'm seeing the first one as how do you have text animated to appear on scroll position? Hey, Luke.
Hey,
Doc.
Luke.
Hey, Joyce.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Yeah, I was trying to figure this out because, like, I'll share screen. Like, I'll have it. So right now it's not going to work kind of the way I wanted to because I'm have to do something in the back end. But I have it so like these different parts will load if I, click a section. I have like the HTML, one or the label for each section, and I'm looking at like scroll position, and also like these circles will change based off progress, all that good stuff. But what I want to do is like within each section, this should have like text in it. Sorry, I didn't get this fixed before, but I'd want it so like when I scroll down, like this getting started part of the section isn't visible yet until you get to a certain like position. You can like, see this in like pretty much all websites nowadays. I just don't know how to do that. Does that make sense?
So you want getting started to be hidden and then to be displayed when you reach a certain point.
Yeah. So like the goal would be like right now this
When
would take up
content is, sorry.
yeah. This one part would just be visible. So like a student going through wouldn't see like the next section until like they're ready to scroll
Okay,
down to
cool.
it. If that makes sense.
The entire section or just the getting started text?
Just the getting started. So like right here,
Okay.
my things are split up based off those different part one, part two, and then obviously the different flex boxes within. So I don't know if I would have to
So-
name each of these and look at scroll position to have it only animate. I don't know if that's too complicated. I feel like it would.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure I understand the exact use case, but I can show you, like, for example, if you click on getting started and you go to, conditional rendering, it does
Yeah.
so in the settings. Here as a condition, you can bind. So on the condition, you can click on the little plug, and then you can say, you can find the component position. I don't know which one it is. But you could say, for example, if, so you would select Y%
Yeah.
and superior to 0. And then it would only display when you've reached that, when the top of the content is visible. Does that make sense? Is that what you were thinking of, or?
Yeah. No, I just didn't know if there was like a better way because I'd want it so if I can show an example really quick. This is what like kind of what my goal is it to kind of look like where
Mhm.
so if I'm going through like this, part two down here isn't visible, like the text isn't until it gets to
Mhm.
pretty much like, and then if I hit like next, it's gonna like auto drag me down to like the exact next area. So I kind of want to have like this experience where only parts are visible. So I guess that will work. I just have to now name.
Yeah, you have to do it if you want it as granular.
Yeah.
You'll have to, yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Do I have time for another quick question or?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Next quick question. So I'm doing a data grid. Maybe this is a better question to submit not a bug, but essentially did some
Yeah,
extra
but-
logic where I can add a row, do invite and stuff like this. I've been talking to, I forgot exactly who, but
Mhm.
there's
Aurélie, maybe in the community?
I have a separate like bug ticket going. But what
Okay.
I'd want to have, I don't know if you'd have any idea too. When I created my own table, there's usually something that comes up like right here when you're editing where it says like this like class is required, but that no longer pops up anymore, even though like
Okay.
the name of this section is.
So the data grid element is like a super specific element that was developed like very specifically. So honestly, I don't understand how it works technically. I think for the data grid, the best approach would be to create a community topic
Okay.
and tag Aurélie. And you can say I said you were allowed to tag
Okay.
her. Because we try when you post in the community, we usually ask you not to tag people right away, just give people chat. But in this case, I think she would be like the best person to talk to because she knows exactly how she will, for example, she will know instantly if it's a bug with the element or if it's something that you need to do.
What was her
differently.
name again? Joyce, sorry.
Aurélie, I'll so you can.
Okay, thank you. That's great. Yeah, I definitely. Oh, okay. Yeah, I've seen her videos. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know that's how. Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, that's
Cool.
I have more, but we'll take it for another day. Thank you so much, Joyce and Doc. Have a great day.
Thanks a lot. You too.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Appreciate it. Great questions. We'll bring you back into the attendee role. All right. Good stuff. Thank you for your questions, Luke. Okay. So we have a few questions from, I believe, Davey. Davey? Hopefully I'm saying it correctly. I apologize if I am saying it wrong. We'll bring you up. There's a few questions, but maybe you're prioritize the one that you want to get done for sure, and then we'll go from there.
I think those three can be we can breathe.
We can do it.
So yeah.
Love it. Okay. Well, rapid fire. We'll knock this thing out. Coming on up in a second.
Am I here? Yeah, I'm on live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're here.
Yeah. Welcome back.
Thank you very much. Thank you for taking the question. So there's no serious implementation, it's more quick questions so I can understand. I was about to my web app. However, now I'm struggling a little bit with a couple of things related to SEO. The first one is how do I create dynamic metadata for each page because they basically it's a marketplace, so each supply has its own page. How do I find a unique title for each of them? That's my first question.
Sure. So we developed right now it's not possible inside WeWeb. You would need to work around. You would need to do a workaround with Cloudflare. Yeah, Cloudflare. I always mistake CloudFront and Cloudflare. Flow is working on a tutorial to help you with that. The reason it's not possible in WeWeb right now, so we developed a beta feature for this back in September. We opened the beta. It was a closed beta, and we had a few dozen people test it. And in the end, it wasn't satisfactory. So we thought, okay, the development work it would take to make this great would be too much of a defocus for other features that are more key to like, our core target audience. That said, we know that it's important for a lot of use cases, for example, a marketplace, which is why Flo has been working on finding a solution, like the best-in-class solution. And it seems like it will be with Cloudflare. And yeah, he's been working on the tutorial. So I don't have, it's not, it's possible right now, but I wouldn't know how to explain it to you. So I think the best, when does your app need to be in production?
Tomorrow.
Hopefully tomorrow. Okay. So I will not be able to provide you with a tutorial by tomorrow, Flo being on holiday and all. But it is in his top three priorities at the moment. So hopefully we can have that for you soon. I'll escalate again the ticket because we do have a ticket internally for this. In the meantime, I'm trying to find I don't I'll try to No, I don't have any ideas on how to point you in the right direction because
I see like there's the to bind data. The only thing is from what I read in the community is only static data is not dynamic.
Yeah, it's for static collections. How many items do you have in your collections?
Right now very few, but it might evolve quickly to a large number. So
if you have very few, you could start by a static collection, like as an alternative, like duplicate a page and do it that way. But we'll try to find a solution for you in the coming like 2-3 weeks and provide that. Would that work for you? Unfortunately, I don't really have any.
Yeah, there's no other option anyway, so let's wait.
Yeah, I think unless you want to duplicate the page and bind to a static collection, but then if it increases super fast, then you'll be stuck soon enough. So
yeah, that's gonna be really annoying for one building.
yeah, for sure.
And so I try to put like my website in the search console so you can index. I got an issue with the robot text file. I'm just not sure how to address this. Basically, right now the error that I have is like it's unreachable.
Okay. Can you show us?
I can just share my screen right now. This is why I'm just not sure about how to tackle that. I just I put my URL in the search console in order just to index the website, right? That's what I got. So right now it doesn't even want to index it.
All right. Can you create a bug, like a support ticket for this? Yeah, if you can create a support ticket for this, we'll have a look because it should usually be fine.
Okay.
Oh no, maybe so you don't have a subdomain on this, and your WeWeb app does have a subdomain. So here you have, yeah. So can you show me the deployment in WeWeb?
Sure. Where should I go?
In the project settings. So yeah, 3 dots and then deployments. Or oh no, sorry, it was domain, but it's fine. You'll get there. Domain, yeah. Okay, so it's this URL that you need to paste in.
Okay, got it. Oh, maybe that was the issue. Okay.
Let's see that.
Yeah. Okay. It looks already better because before it was
Okay,
already
cool.
better.
Cool.
Okay. And just general advice about performances regarding WeWeb. Is there a way to? What are the best practices to improve WeWeb performances in the browser?
Yeah, so it would be same advice as any web development. What is your background? Like,
Business.
are you pure business? But anyway, for anyone for anyone interested, I think one thing to understand with WeWeb, and there are other tools that share a similar philosophy, like Webflow is similar in the sense that we're really close to code. So the best practices for code are the same best practices for WeWeb. So for performance, for page speed, there are a lot of things that come into play. First, so for SEO, for example, even more than page speed, it's like the how fast you can display the hero section of the page so that the user has something to see right away. So then even if things happen afterwards, after that content has been loaded, search engines don't mind as much. They mind more about the first user experience because for search engines, what's important is that the user, like in less than a second, gets a nice, sees something, because if they don't, they'll leave. They'll be impatient and leave. So to improve that, there are lots of different things you can do. Don't fetch any collections that you don't need at the top of the page. So wait for that. Yeah, you could, there's images, like just not, yeah. So don't fetch collections you don't need right away. Don't fetch any collection that you don't, that you can fetch, collections sequentially. You can fetch collection, for example, if there's data that is only useful once you click on a button and display a sidebar, then maybe fetch it when the user clicks instead of on page load, things like that. There's image size, like volume of images, and files in general, but images are the most common. If you can have images in the WebP format that are only a few kilobytes, that's great. If you can do lazy loading for pages, for images that are lower on your page, that's great as well. That can improve speed. And I think in your question you had, oh, sorry, it moved, but you had about having in different pages or everything in one page. Yeah, something else. Sorry, I'm thinking out loud, but other things is like keeping your pages simple, like with as few containers as possible. So of course you need to add containers to build your layout, but you don't want to nest too many containers and add too many items if you don't need to. It's better in that case to have separate pages. And again, think about your user experience anyway. The simpler the page, the more you're likely to engage with it, you know, because you're not lost, you're not it's not too much information. So that's one thing. And if you break things down into separate pages, even in terms of business and marketing, I'm sure you know you think that way as well, Davey. But you know, think like one page, one goal can be helpful because then yeah, it just keeps the user experience smooth. And in that case, if you're breaking down into multiple pages, make sure to use multi-page sections in WeWeb, so linked sections. Maybe Doc, you can link to the user docs article about multi-page sections. Because then when the user navigates from one page to the other, if you use linked sections, those linked sections will not be reloaded on page change. So that's also great for performance. What else is there? Yeah, pagination. So very often, like when you so when you fetch data from your backend, there are a couple of things to keep in mind. You don't want to fetch too much data, like the volume of data, the actual files that are being downloaded in in the user's browser. You want to keep that to a minimum because you also have to think of users that, you know, maybe don't have a big data plan or are in regions where they don't, it's slower to load a page. So there's the volume of data that you fetch that can take, you know, that slows down potentially a page. And there's also the amount of items that you display on the page. And that's where pagination comes in. So the first thing, volume of data, that's more about backend filters. So filtering the data in the backend. So you only send a reasonable volume of data to the front end. So that's so the browser doesn't have to download too much data. And then there's the number of items you display, and that's where pagination comes in. And there it means, like, for example, you might have 5,000 items that were downloaded in your browser, but if you try to display 5,000 items on the page, if you ask the browser to render 5,000 items, and let's say the 5,000 items all have images and stuff like that, then the browser will crash. Well, it will significantly slow down and potentially crash. It'll depend on like what's inside those items. So you've got backend filters, pagination, front-end pagination. You also have backend pagination, but that's the same topic. And I was thinking of one last thing that escapes me now. Oh yeah, and just that pagination notion, the idea that you can't render like those 5,000 items on the page. It's the same logic as you don't want to have too many containers if you can avoid it. It's about what you're asking the browser to render. Like you're asking for memory and usage from the browser to display those items. And that's why conditional rendering is more powerful than, is very powerful in terms of performance. Whereas if you use the CSS display property to hide items on the page, it will not improve performances because the item will still be rendered by the browser. It will just be hidden. So yeah, that's what I had in mind. Does that help?
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm going to check all of them and try to improve everything that I can. That's great.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
And Karen is suggesting, yeah, so Lighthouse. You can look at Google Lighthouse in the first content paint. Really just remember WeWeb and other tools, a lot of other tools, it's similar to code. So if you want to do research, we do have some videos about performances in that. But if you want to dig into that performance topic, like Karen is saying, you can follow the same best practices as traditional developers would.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Appreciate your question. Bringing you back into the attendee mode. And all those best practices. When Joyce is saying all these things, I'm getting flashbacks of all level 2. There's a section with all of these different things that are excellent resources as well, and I'll put it in the chat. But excellent stuff. Okay. Sorry, Joyce, when you were when you're answering questions, I was shifting it to answered. So sorry, I was messing you up for
No
a
worries.
second.
No worries.
Okay, so we also have to, when I was responding back, will this a recording of this session be available viewing? Yes, it will be. So we'll definitely have that. Great question. Great question. There was a question from Perlette. Hopefully I'm saying it correctly. I was going to invite you up in a moment. There was 2 different ones. Please let us know if there is, the first one would be the subject you would like to talk about. That's host static JS files on the domain. The app is deployed on. So I'm going to be bringing you up in 1 second. Okay, we'll see you in 1 moment. Also, thank you for providing the community notes as well. Question.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good. Yeah, I posted that on the community forum, and to be fair, I also went on vacation then for a month and didn't do anything. But yeah, I wanted to be able to host a JavaScript file on my domain that then it's being referenced by the application. What that JavaScript file actually does, because my application is actually deployable in other people's websites, so the JavaScript file actually does all the rendering, kind of including the actual WeWeb page into the other websites. But I think I need the file to be on my domain in order to ensure that some of the cross-domain limits that the browser set are not triggered. And I wasn't sure how to put that JavaScript file on my domain. When I put it up as a file, it shows on that AWS link, not on my domain.
Yep. I'm not sure that's possible at the moment. Unless you self-host, unless you export your WeWeb apps code and self-host it. I think it's not possible at the moment because I'm not 100% sure. So just to roll back, so when you post in the community, if you don't have any answers after, I don't know, 4 or 5 days, don't hesitate to bump it up, once. I'm not saying do it 10 times, but bump it up once or twice if you don't get because it can be just no one saw it, we missed it. Since January we've been not as good with the community, we've been struggling to keep up with all the number of topics, so don't hesitate to bump, after a few days, give us a chance to get back to you. But and if you still don't have an answer, yeah, feel free to hop on office hours or to create a support ticket if you're really at a loss. Of course, if you're stuck and if it affects your app in production, you can escalate, go to the support app directly. But yeah, sorry, back to your question. I think it's not possible at the moment because we had a similar we have people requesting, for example, to customize the robots.txt
Yeah,
file.
when
stuff
the
like
previous person asked, I
Yeah.
was like, oh, okay, that
Yeah.
sounds similar.
So at the moment it's not possible. It will be. It's on the roadmap for the robots file anyway. But I think for yours as well, it will be much easier in the future. Just because it will be easier to self-host, you won't need to add a WeWeb server.
Because I'm not sure how. Well, I don't want to self-host. That's why I also came to WeWeb.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
it's like I don't have to
understand.
worry about that stuff.
Yeah.
Mainly because I can test it, but I don't know if the cross-domain stuff will allow me to basically load something from a different domain, from a JavaScript file that's not
Yeah.
hosted there.
Yeah, I honestly don't know for this one. I think if you can hang out with us again next Tuesday, I think Flo will be better place to answer. Honestly, I don't know. I think it's not possible. So we have 2 options. I can oh, you know what? Let me just first of all, I'll just create a ticket internally I'll do that right now and just ask the developers if they know.
Okay.
If this is
Yeah,
possible.
and later today I can test it out if I can deploy it on a subdomain that I can self-host.
Ah, yeah.
I don't know though if subdomain is still considered like this with the browser, if the browser is
Yeah.
considered something else. Because the subdomain I can create and host if it's just the JavaScript file. I just didn't want to host the whole application.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. I don't know, but I'll ask just creating the ticket now so I don't forget.
Okay.
And-
The other question I had was more, I think it's more probably a feature request
Yeah.
for WeWeb search. Well, no, I think I actually went and voted for one of those. I think there is already a feature request in the in
Public
waiting.
mode.
Yeah, which is being able to search for the actual workflows. Because right now there is no way for me to go and find. I have to go and click on every single thing to find it.
Yeah.
But also, and I don't know, I'll share my screen real quick to show you. I don't remember where I saw that error because it was just like, oh, workflow, blah, 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 gave you an error. But also
Mhm.
like in this case here, where it says update results and then like the ID triggered on blah action.
Yeah.
Well,
I
I
don't
don't know if this means that it's gone. And if it's gone, then it's trying to do something wrong. But how would I find what that ID is? Like, where is that ID?
because you said update result. I don't know. Are you updating a variable value?
Yeah, I think that's
Or yeah.
actually a
It might be a variable
component.
ID. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
this is the workflow, so all of this is
Mm,
happening.
yeah. Yeah, honestly, I usually don't do fairly simple tutorials where I don't need to debug that much. Yeah, because I know for like the search of variables and workflows and pages even, we're working on that to improve. But so in your case, what would you say is the need? Is that you like,
Well,
okay, so it's like you see this and you don't know what it means, right?
yeah,
That's the
and
feedback?
actually, it actually came because this
Ah,
was my
okay.
post where it
Okay.
said this, and I'm
Okay.
like, okay, great. Where do I find this?
Okay. Let me see. If you go back to your project, if you go to your data, like the data tab on the left,
Mhm.
and variables, yeah, if you just click on a
Okay, there.
variable,
Oh,
just click on no on a
no.
yeah. So here, for example, you see
Oh,
the
here.
you. Oops, sorry. Okay, copy ID. So yeah, so you don't see the ID, you can copy it, which is not ideal. And if you say find, if you click on find variable, that will tell you where it is.
Where it is used.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess there's something we can improve there where it makes it easier for you to, yeah, because it's actually not very helpful to show you the
Yeah,
ID of the
and
variable and the, yeah.
but this in this case also it says not found, so it's trying to set something that's technically not possible anymore.
Yeah.
But even then, I'm not even sure where that try set variable was being
I'm
called.
guessing, in that case, I'm guessing because you're using components that you're probably trying to change variables that are inside the components that are scoped inside a component that are not exposed outside, maybe. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I wasn't sure either. That's why I asked.
Yeah. I think it's probably a scoping. Either you deleted the variables and you didn't remember,
Mhm.
but I don't think so. That I mean, because I think
Oh,
then it
it's
wouldn't
possible.
even. Yeah.
It's possible. I don't know. It was when I was still I was still early
Yeah.
in my app development, so I was still
Okay.
not as familiar with WeWeb. So it's possible that I was adding and removing stuff, and I just
So it
wasn't
could be.
realizing.
Yeah, in your workflow, you could check all the change variable value actions and just make sure that a variable is selected. because if a variable was deleted, for example, it will no, yeah, just the variable, here it says current collection, for example. So it might be that one of them is empty. No, that looks fine.
Yeah, I don't think I'm getting this error anymore. Oh,
okay.
no, I do. It's
So
right
try
here.
to set
Try to
variable.
set variable, not found.
Okay, so can you test this workflow? If you click on test at the top, on the top right. Yeah.
Oh,
And let's see, do you get the error?
no, I think it's getting
No.
from somewhere.
Okay.
It's from somewhere else. Yeah, I don't know where that just popped up because
No.
I wasn't really doing anything. Yeah, I wasn't sure.
But yeah, I mean, I get your point. I think there's something we can improve in the logs to help you debug and yeah.
That's why I was saying that I think that probably is more of a feature
Yeah.
request, but just so you
Yeah,
can see where,
yeah, for sure.
like where it is. It's kind of like, yeah, how do I find those things?
Yeah, for sure. It's something yeah, it's something we'll be working on because we see more and more apps that are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So
Yeah,
the need for
some kind
that
of
is
better search, because also
Yeah.
the other thing is, like, for example, the search box doesn't search for the name of it only searches
for the
for,
folder. Mm.
no, it's like, for example, it only searches for like this whiter part of the text.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
doesn't search the little heading. So like here, if I
Yeah.
even search
Okay.
for set,
Okay.
it doesn't
You,
search like
yeah,
set input at all.
I get it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
sharing and thank you for your explanation. It's great stuff. And we'll add more to the community with anything changes, anything like that. We'll make sure. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
Oh yes. There was also too, this was a piggyback question. This was actually when you're talking about to Davey talking about like best practices. There was a question actually that I had tagged, question about best practices for variables. They're getting a lot of variables in their project. Is
Mm-hmm.
there any resources or best practices to consider for that as well?
Can you share is there more context or is it just general?
Yes. Hold on one second. I'm going to put it in. I'm going to share my screen actually. Let's see.
Thank you, Davey. Talk to you soon. Have a great day.
Question here. So during development, I noticed that a number of variables can grow quite fast. I am taking more and more of the approach to reuse variables as much as possible. This is because, as I understand, a variable lives in the context of sessions. So I use, for example, and then they're giving examples right here for Boolean, and then selected object. How do you all efficiently and securely use variables in WeWeb, and are the best practices to follow?
Yeah, so I think that's a really cool question. And the example the user mentions, if I understand correctly, is well, first of all, my advice is don't overthink it when you're getting started. But then as you notice the number of variables grow, similar to when you're copy pasting workflows, if you catch yourself copy pasting stuff, it probably means you can streamline your process a little bit. So for variables, the example given here, I think is a very good one. So when you're first getting started, you will often have Boolean variable for each modal in your app. So you would have a modal a variable, sorry, that says if it's going to display the mobile menu or not. A variable that will say if it displays the sidebar on this page, if it displays the pop-up on that page, all of that. And the example from the community, what the user found out is after a while, actually, I can have one variable that is an object, and I update just that variable with information about the text to display or the Boolean true false to display and all of this. For this type of example, so it's a little bit more of a, it's more complex than just having a yes/no variable, but I recommend looking at our alerts element, and let me find the docs for you so you can see how it works. Mm-mm. Oh, the title of the page isn't displayed, but that's fine. So here, this is a good example of how to use an object variable in a fairly complex way, but meaning that you only need to update it once. Like, I mean, you only need one variable that you can update, and depending on the context of your web app. Karen is saying site settings can be an object. User variables can be a user object, etc. Group similar variables into an object, so at the minimum, they're easier to manage. Exactly. So you could have, in the alerts example, you could have all sorts of different types of alerts. You can have warnings, you can have just regular notifications, you can have success messages. So instead of having one variable that says if the modal should be displayed or not, plus one text variable to say which color it needs to be, and then another text variable to say what text to display. You can have just an object variable and key value pairs in there that specify the behavior of the modal. We have an update from Scott as well. And so yeah, that's the first thing. Like object variables can be scary when you first get started, but they are insanely powerful and easier to maintain, because once you get the hang of it, it'll become second nature very soon. The second thing about like maybe managing variables and just your is scoping. And scoping again can be a little bit tricky when you're first getting started. That's why I mentioned at first, like, don't overthink this. Don't try to optimize and refactor your code like right from the beginning of a project if you don't have that experience, if you don't have that kind of mental gymnastics, because it's going to confuse you more than anything else. But whenever you find yourself copy pasting things or doing the same thing multiple times in web development, it's a sign that you can do something differently. If you find yourself designing the same element or a similar element over and over again, like a nav bar, a footer, a side menu, a card, it's the sign, or button, it's the sign that you could create a component. And then in each component, you could have variables inside the component that are scoped to the component. And those are much easier to manage because then, they don't crowd your space, your project space. They exist only inside the component. So when you need to maintain the component, you only need to update it once. You need to update the variable once. You don't need to update the variable in all the copies of elements. You can update on the component itself, and it will be updated throughout the instances of that component. So yeah, I think those would be my two pieces of advice. Look into the object variable and look into components.
Love it. Great question.
And just, I'll give the update, Scott's update for the replay, so people have the information. Xano is suggesting to update the RAM because it's close to capacity. So it comes back to one of the two solutions we found so far, the causes for the network errors coming from Xano. One of them is when your Xano workspace doesn't have enough RAM left. And Karan is referring to a big programming principle, dry, don't repeat yourself. It's a concept you can learn and that can be very helpful. And if needed, like we go through a lot of these concepts in level 2 of the academy. And yeah, so, but again, like coming back as well to the conversation we're having with Davey, if you're a no coder, if you're not a, if you don't know how to write code, try to keep in mind that WeWeb is very close to code. It's just an extra layer on top of code, and we try to put as little as possible, as little fluff as possible in between, so that you can think and do things, think in the same way that a traditional developer would. Oh, thanks, Scott. That's nice.
This is good stuff.
And Prolet is saying objects are harder to update though versus selecting variables. The UI does not know the object structure, so you have to type it and you cannot update partly multiple values. Yeah, so that's a really good point about the UI doesn't know the object structure. Yeah, that's great feedback. And you can update partly multiple values, but yeah, you will need two separate steps. You'll need separate steps in the workflow. So yeah, and depending on the complexity of your object, it might be easier to just like do a full update, replace yeah. But you're right, it can be imperfect. All right, cool.
Good times. So we went through the main questions. I believe, and it's good. It's great seeing that with Scott, all the updates and everything. I'm not sure. Please let us know in the chat. I think you had one more question if we had time. We're rounding up to the end of the hour, but we're gonna bring you up for this question real quick. So thank you so much. Hold on one second. Oh, we just need to hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi again. So thank you, because this issue happened a year and a half ago and I forgot how we solved for it, and it was Michael just bumping up RAM. So I might just upgrade our instance, but okay, so when I have an add-on in Xano and I'm trying to do a filter in WeWeb on the front end, now the only way that I can filter through the the added piece of data, the object that contains, or the object that contains the added data, is through the contains filter. And is that the only way? I mean, it seems like that's the only. There isn't like I can dive into the object and pick a field within the object to, so
do you want to share your screen?
Yeah.
I can try to find right off the top of my head, I can't really think of another. I mean, the other solution I would suggest, but it depends on your use case, would be instead of having a Xano add-on, if you're using that data in another collection, in another WeWeb collection, would be to do a lookup in WeWeb.
Okay.
Oh, but you're getting the network errors.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this is funny, right? It's like worse and worse and worse. Here, finally. Just so like for instance, in here, right? It's just say I want to. And there's so many things I think I do in Xano that I don't do in WeWeb that probably I can be doing in WeWeb. Like looking up, like you mentioned. So when this issue happens, this filter thing goes away, or I got rid of it because of an issue.
Yeah.
No. So like if I want to do a condition. so it's like I got to go into here
Mhm.
and I can only do the contains, right? So if there's
Yeah.
a specific field, there's multiple, like if I'm trying to look up property address and I put in a number to look it up, if there's that number is within that object, it'll
Yeah.
pull that too. So you're
I
saying do a lookup? How do you suggest to do that?
So I see that in your sidebar you have the tenants. So I'm guessing you also have a tenants collection. So the information that you have, like the information that you have in the add-on of your properties collection, you are also fetching in your tenants collection, I'm guessing.
For this specific, this isn't where I would do it, but yes, there is that data already. So
Alrighty, yeah.
walk me through
So
the philosophy here of the lookup.
sure. So can you like close this window and just go on your like remove the filter condition group and all of that. So and also no, it was okay, it was off, so that's fine. Okay, so you're on your list of items. You can go back in your list of items. You can click on here. No, sorry, on the specific items where you were just without the filter. No, sorry, in editor mode. On the collection list. No, on the collection list. Yeah. On the items, yes. Okay. Yeah, can you just make sure? I think there are no filters, but if you can just make sure they're. Oh no,
Yes.
they're okay. Leave them for now. I don't
Yeah.
want to. Okay, and in the collections tab, can you or in the data, can you show me in the data what the structure of tenant looks like? No, and
Now you want it in here? Like
yeah, in the current value, yeah. If you look at one object and then
oh, there's status and then there's
yeah.
so-
So here, for example, you would would you look up on the address, the ID, or
well, this isn't a really good example, but it would be, let's say the tenant first name or last name.
um okay, but this one
All
is
right.
empty. So well, let's do on the address. So we can try to do so yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have a hard time doing this in 3 minutes without
No,
being
that's
familiar
fine.
with your data set. But let me share with you a couple of videos
Okay.
that
I can figure out, I
should
think.
help for the logic.
Sure.
And so yeah, I'll try to find this for you. I think if you look into the filter by key and look up formulas, you'll be in pretty good shape. But let me try to find that information for you.
So it still would be, you'd have to use, okay. So but doing a filter, like you're binding what's happening in this search field and you can't do any type of logic on this side of the equation. So where do you actually do?
Yeah. That's the thing. I don't think I rarely use these filters. I
Okay.
prefer using formulas inside. Well, it depends on the use case, but I like using formulas. I like using a formula, and so instead of binding to properties list, I would bind to filter by keys properties list. Look up. I will do
So you're saying you
my
would, when on change, run a function that pulls it instead of doing a filter. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that, I mean, that seems like there's more flexibility, right? In that you can share.
It's probably not always possible, but let's see if it's the right. Yeah. So I think let me share this one in the chat. I think this one can be helpful.
Yeah, a lot of links that I want to
And
capture in this chat, and I know that, but I don't think they'll be available in the recording.
oh, you're right.
You should,
So
Joyce, I mean, you are a wealth of knowledge. You should just put all these links in some type
yeah,
of document, right? I mean, I guess it's in the
for sure.
somewhere.
I think I'm gonna do that in the description though. I'm saving the chat and I'm gonna put it in the
Cool.
description.
Filter by key.
Oh,
Yeah.
that'd be
How to
awesome.
use filter by key. I just haven't thought about using that as in a workflow to, use it as a fill. I mean, it would be, I've just been using the native like WeWeb filtering, and I
Yeah.
guess we're becoming more complex with our filtering. We should be using, ways to do it customizable, right, to us, which I haven't thought about, right? And there's so much in this array, function stack in WeWeb that probably can do a lot of, similar stuff that you're doing in WeWeb and Xano to query the data from a collection.
Yeah, and the idea is, like, because again, if optimizing performance, if you're fetching data, if you have the data in a collection and you're fetching it again, you're bringing it a second time through add-ons, you already have the information, so you don't need it a second time. So in terms of performance and rationalizing like the API calls you make, that's something where you might be able to find optimization options.
Yeah, I mean, the data is
trying to-
already somewhere in the front, and it's just, instead of using it for that specific collection, you find it elsewhere, pull it in.
Yeah.
And okay.
And front-end filtering is faster, saying Karen. Yeah.
Right.
Here we go.
Unfortunately,
So
this bumps up against my daily stand-up that I have. I just opted out of it today to be on this call. I wish I can join this more often, but maybe I'll move my Tuesdays so that I can be on
Yeah.
this call. And there's a lot of, and my UX UI guys on it too. So we're both here trying to learn.
cool. And just Karen is reminding everyone that, front-end filtering is not secure. So I'll share as well. That's really important too. And again, this is all in like level 2 of the academy. If you have a project in production and you're not a traditional developer, I would highly recommend very, very humbly, because those are my videos, but I think we did a good job of explaining some security issues, and not issues because they're just concepts that again are common to all. It's web development. It's not WeWeb specific. Is if the data needs to be secure, it needs to be filtered in the backend and stuff like that. So yeah, I think we need to wrap it up for today, but hopefully that's a lot of cool resources you can I'll work on.
We've got all of them. I saved in the chat, so when we upload them and have it, I'm doing timestamps and I'm doing all the references with all of these things. So this has been wonderful. Joyce, thank you so much for your wealth of knowledge and for everyone being here, and everyone, Karen as well, to being able to say so much in the chat and helping out. So everyone, have a wonderful day, and we look forward to next week with office hours again. See everyone.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.